Hello and welcome back, fellow time travelers and comic book aficionados, to a different kind of an episode. We're going to explore the contents in this vintage TV box right here. It even has some knobs and handles right there, and some things in my collection that are unique. So stick around and we'll take a look at the contents in the box. As I travel to the past and back to the present, I like to display a few things on my file cabinet right here. And these are from Christmas, from the 12 covers of Christmas. Be sure to check out that video if you're interested. And always next to me, I have a vintage television set. And this is actually a box that opens up and has some collectibles and trinkets that I've collected along the way. And that's what I want to show you, just some of the things that I have in there. So let's go. This episode is really about some odds and ends, and that's what I have in here. This is a container featuring some collectibles that I've collected over the years since my childhood, high school, and so forth. And I keep them in here, and I'm going to open it up there. And we have some flip books from Mickey Mouse. I remember picking these up on the main street in Florida where Disney World was, and there was Nickelodeon, and they had some of these to take home to kind of provide some entertainment from what I saw. And there are two different little stories in each flip book. They were a lot of fun. So now Disney's celebrating 100 years, and this was picked up more than 25, 30 years ago. So I have a few in the collection. Some have some tape on it. Some are a little bit worn. We have Mickey Mouse and Goliath right here. So it's really a way to take home some of the animation and kind of replay those memories over and over again. So I have three books in total. These three right here. This one, I wore it out pretty good, flipping it over and over again. My brother and I would take turns looking at these, and they were just a lot of fun and a way to have something animated without plugging it into a TV. Cereal boxes like Cinnamon Toast Crunch also had little flip books from time to time. This one's a little bit worn out, but this is the anti-gator gun. And this advertised the cereal, which I always enjoyed watching Saturday morning cartoons. And again, there are two stories inside. The second one is a race to the finish. But these flip books are a lot of fun and a part of my history. Garbage Pail Kids, most parents didn't let their kids have them. I got these kind of on the fly. They had a certain theme or meaning behind them. Silent Sandy looks like the Sphinx in Egypt. Hanky Panky with a lot of kiss and lipstick marks. We have Bloated Blair, and they just go on and on. Topps Trading Cards had the rights to these and produced many of them. You can see Topps right there, 1987. It even came with some comics and puzzles you would fill in activities with these Garbage Pail Kids. If anybody enjoys them or has a series of Garbage Pail Kids, as there are several series of them, comment below. Tell me what you think about them. Always watching TV, I've always enjoyed Happy Days with the Fonz, Richie Cunningham, all the great characters right there. And this is a sealed pack that I picked up more recently. And this is the theme of this box is different TV shows, movies, and collectible that we'll take a quick look at. And just pulling these wax wrappers out carefully. These I've collected over the years, and I've started out basically at the grocery store looking underneath the candy bars to find out which packs I could find and collect. This one's Batman Returns from Topps, or the Canadian variation, which is O-Pee-Chee. So it also comes with one insert card and five regular cards. It's a neat way to enjoy the movie after you saw it, because at this time there was no internet and there was no way to really follow up unless it was a magazine or cards here. The Rocketeer, a great movie that I really enjoyed. 8 glossy movie cards and a sticker inside. And right there we have the manufacturer, Walt Disney Company, Topps trading cards. Put together this one here. We all love the hit movie Back to the Future 2, 9 movie cards. And inside is basically a theme of the movie and different photos from the movie stills. So it's all collected, usually about 85 cards in a set, up to 100. This is a very early one with Moonraker, and this is from the 1970s, 1979, as it says on the bottom there. 10 movie cards, 1 sticker, and 1 piece of gum. So a little bit more generous in this pack right there. And you can see an ad for Bazooka on this one here. Indiana Jones from Topps, Raiders of the Lost Ark, a different movie, E.T. from the 80s, Superman 3 this time. Mostly all of these cards were made by Topps, and I've always enjoyed the TMNT, which stands for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, with these card series here. This one I primarily collected for first. I would frequently go back and forth to the local drugstore and the Jewel to try to get as many cards as I could, trade them with friends to collect them all. Now with eBay and different hobby shops, it's a lot easier to collect, but back in the day, the struggle was real. Right here, we have some replica Superman. These are 1984 reprints from Gum Incorporated. These are not from Topps. I'm kind of assembling them outside the bag so I can show you our beautiful animated stills of the early animations of Superman. This is a reproduction of the original card set, as the originals are very expensive, highly sought after, and very collectible still to this day. But finding these from the 80s was a way to kind of relive the fun that was Superman when you weren't reading comic books or watching the movies. And just look at the wonder there, the original artwork showing there, just the tones and the colors and the action right there. Just kind of looking through these is reminiscent of some fun times with the memories of reading comic books. So this is a complete set. You can see Superman's might holding the house from blowing. You can see him holding up a mine shaft, probably rescuing some miners, even looking at a trolley that off the track right there. It just shows a lot of great vignettes of Superman at his finest. And just on the back too, it even gives a description and a story. So you even have a bit of the history, like you're reading a mini story with these 72 cards right here. So great to have in my TV box collection. The next card that I have in my box collection is from Marvel, more of a modern Marvel. I have these right in here. This is our 30th anniversary special featuring Spider-Man, and it gives a modern rendition of his backstory with some original McFarlane artwork provided for these cards. He was actually commissioned to illustrate for these. I'm happy to have them in the collection. It shows the story of Spider-Man was a masked wrestler before donning his uniform and taking on crime. It even has some of the reproductions of the first issue of The Amazing Spider-Man, some pictures within, kind of more modern takes. You have the Vulture as well, the Sandman, so Doctor Doom. It's just a way to have some of the comic art, but in these collectible cards. It even has a story, much like we saw with Superman on the back. We have Mary Jane relaxing right there. We all wish we can just be relaxing like that. The Hulk. So some main characters jump in. Kraven the Hunter. A lot of guest stars, even Daredevil, Scorpion. It's just a neat little collection. Again, more of the modern art, as you can see here with Mr. Osborn. and more. So it's a long collection. It's a pretty thick collection of cards, and these came out in the year 1992, 30th anniversary special of The Amazing Spider-Man. Kind of hiding in the corner here is some gum wrappers that I kept in a baseball card holder. These are basically sugar-free bubble gum, color comic inside. Pretty neat to see there. Why don't we open them up? They're both the same one. They're both identical, but I'll show you the inside of this one here. And we have a Submariner comic right there. And yeah, it looks like a joke right there in the is being asked. So very cool, little quick comic, almost like the Bazooka comic. It's a resemblance here, and this was from Cadence Industry. They're not Topps like we know that makes Bazooka, but a different one right there. So we have Marvel comic, sugar free. Did you ever know about these? Just stumbled upon them fairly recently. More cards to be continued with this 1984 set of the Marvel's Superhero. These are first issue covers of the releases from before the 70s into the 60s. And it's a pretty hefty box of trading cards. And right in here's a complete set, just kind of shaking them out gently. And you can even see some of these are Sergeant Fury and the Howling Commandos. Very recognizable covers like the Avengers and Daredevil. So these were just the first issues of some of the main titles that Marvel created. 1968 was a big year for Marvel. In the 1975, there were some also new titles being added to the mix, and it's when Marvel experimented with different characters. In the back of it, it also gives a brief history. This one happens to be Khazar, is brooding about the value of his existence when he meets Liane, Queen of Zarhan. So just some nice little synopsises. This is a great cover. I always like some of those Bronze Age horror, and this is like no other. The Marvel spotlight on vendors. So these cards just go on and on. It's almost as a reference. It's basically a reference manual or card deck of some of the great covers, including this one here, that 4-issue miniseries of Beware the Claws of the Cat, the amazing original issue, Sheena, the Crypt of Shadows. That's a great one. I looked at this. I didn't really know about it, so I've been looking into that. Really cool. So these go on and on. And if you have like a half an hour, it's a delight just thumping through all of these great covers and cards that are still popular and valuable today. Yeah, this is a great little box to keep them in. So I'm happy to have these and the more modern collection of cards as well. Trading cards and non-sports trading cards, as they're sometimes called, or movie cards, are just another way to enjoy the comic art medium and the heroes that we know and love. And last but not least, we definitely have to talk about comics. After all, this is Time Travel Comics. If you like what you're seeing, please like and subscribe. I always enjoy providing content about some collectibles and memorabilia, of course, related to comics and time traveling. And these were put out by Bubble Funnies, as it says right there. Miniature comic book collection. There was only about a handful of comic books that came out. There are about 2 or 3 more than what I have, so almost 7 or 8. But these are some of the main ones, including Doc Ock and Spider-Man. And it provides a nice little story inside. Opening them up, you have these colorful pages. They even have the Stan Lee Presents on there. They have the bubbles that you can read from, and it's a full story from start to finish, about 5-6 pages in length. And we these are actually not reproduced, they're original comics for these little books right here. The Incredible Hulk has one as well. The cover art is really cool and including the leader, who's one of the enemies of the Hulk, Archie. Always enjoyed the teen humor and fun of Archie with Veronica on the cover here and roller skates. And a little note in the background is a shadow. Very clever. And the gum actually was in the last panel of the comic. You could see some of the staining from where it was right here. So it kind of rested in the back of the book, but it didn't take away from the story here. So it's just right in the back is where the gum was. Just in case you were wondering, where do they keep the gum in these comics? It's right there. And we have Captain America in space. That's really cool. Almost like Steranko would take Captain to space. And little skull cover there. Maybe that's, yeah, that is. The Red Skull strikes from space. So some neat funnies right there. Some original stories with Bubble Funnies comics. It looks like we have a lot on our plate, but let's snap our fingers and make it go away. Before we part ways and I see you in the future, I wanted to introduce this book by Mastronet, the auction catalog, and it features a lot of movie cards from when they were 5 cents from the 50s and 60s, and it's a great little historical piece. It also has coins and stamps and other collectibles, but this particular issue actually features the Topps archive from the 1950s and the 1960s, including some uncut sheets of Superman from some of the original movie stills that we have here. So pretty neat to see that. A lot of history and description about them. Even 1958 Top Zorro, 1957 Robin Hood, Roundup from 1956. So a lot of different series that Topps had, including this one with airplanes, original artwork here, uncut sheets. Some of the ones could be even recognizable. The American G-Men right here, 1930 set, 48 card complete set. That's pretty neat, as we know the G-Men from comic books. We also have some more graded ones as well. Much like comics, we also have a grading system for the trading cards. And in particular, it even features some of the Batman ones as well. These are box sets of some of the ones, jets, rails, and planes, wings. So this book is almost like a mini encyclopedia. Some of the gag ones, like the ugly stickers, Hopalong Cassidy, foldies, those are kind of common back in the day, were in this book here. Elvis Presley going up for some auction. So this was published more than 10 years ago, but it does have a lot of nice glossy pages. Anybody collect space cards? These are from 1958 Topps, 5 cent wax box, 34 packs. Wow, that's pretty neat. That's what the wrapper looked like, unfolded. There's the Zorro set right there, 1958. So these are just kind of neat. Roundup. So my collection in that TV set that we just saw is basically trading cards. And this is another compilation of pictures, monsters from the outer limit. Did you know Tom and Jerry had trading cards, or tattoos rather, in 1965? That is a neat thing to see. And right here we have the huge collection of 1966 Batman cards with their display boxes. And these are pretty neat. There's a first series and a second series featuring real photo stills from the show, including these right here. So pretty neat. I turn it around as best I can, but this is the colors and the classics of the trading cards. 10 cents a pack, 1966. Almost as much as a Golden Age comic book. If comic books were going for 12 cents then, probably a lot still 10 cents. That's how much the card packs cost. So they're quite expensive. And look at the painted work right there of Batman jumping down. So this is on auction for a minimum of $500 back when, and more. So thank you for letting me take you on a tour of these comics. And the rest of it is just more memorabilia. Even the back resembles a card pack. So that's really neat that the publisher did that. So that's pretty neat. And thank you for watching this episode about some odds and ends in my collection. Basically, cards that resemble comics, but nonetheless are pop culture. It's always a joy traveling in time and looking back at things that we can reminisce on and enjoy for years to come. Thanks again, and I'll see everyone in the future.